Hello and welcome back to Exothermic Plays Games. I'm Exothermic and the date today is Monday, May 6th, 2024. I've been doing a countdown of my favorite video games of all time through each day of the year, and coming in at number 240 is Fantasy Life. Fantasy Life is basically Final Fantasy meets Animal Crossing. There are 12 classes, called lives, that you play as. Though you pick one out when you start the game, once you're done with the earliest part of the story and have a grasp on the game's controls, you can actually swap them around at will. Not all of the classes are combat-oriented, however. In fact, most of them aren't. For combat, you do have Paladin, Mercenary, Hunter, and Magician. There's resource gathering lives in the form of Miner, Woodcutter, and Angler, and then lastly, to use those raw materials, you have Cook, Blacksmith, Carpenter, Tailor, and Alchemist. Much of the game has you exploring the world of Reveria, helping random townsfolk with whatever ails them. For the main plot, there's these mysterious stones falling from the sky, and you team up with a talking butterfly who is very quickly foreshadowed to be a secret agent from the stars to solve this mystery and save each of the kingdoms from the effects of the stones. In order to save everyone, you need to generate wish power by helping as many people as possible fulfill their deepest desires and fill their hearts. This gives you a resource called Bliss that you can spend with the butterfly to unlock additional features of the game, such as having a pet or expanding your bags. On top of the main story and helping random townsfolk, each life has its own plot as well. There's a whole subplot for each one as you grow in prowess within that life. You report to a master who teaches you everything you need to know and gives you extra tasks to perform. Using Magician as an example, I had to help deal with a ghost problem and set an annoying child down a path towards growing up and accepting responsibility. Most of the smaller tasks you do outside of that story involve exploring different regions of the world and killing specific monsters. Each time you complete a task, you can return to that life's master and gain experience. Gain enough and you'll rank up in that life, giving you a stat bonus while you play it, and often unlock more skills to use. Combat is pretty straightforward, but there is some info to know. You'll want to learn attack patterns from different enemies in order to dodge their attacks, but also in the case of Magician, you need to learn elemental weaknesses in order to hit them with the right spells to maximize your effectiveness. That's especially helpful against some of the stronger enemies if you're able to capitalize on that weakness. As you explore the world, you'll find bounties. Often they're powerful monsters, but sometimes they're rare natural resources. If you defeat the monster or collect the resource, you can drag it back the long way to the nearest town and turn it into the bounty clerk. In addition to getting special items from this, you'll also obtain a decent amount of money. If you're way out in the far corners of the world, don't worry about taking it all the way back to a city. There's usually an outpost within a zone or two that has vendors and a bounty clerk, plus some other characters that will inevitably be useful for one quest or another. That covers pretty much everything about combat. If you think that sounds a little simple to be the whole game, don't worry, there's a lot more to do here besides just fighting. I mentioned that the game feels very Animal Crossing inspired, and that's where the rest of the game comes in. With some lives, like Woodcutter, you can gather all sorts of resources that will then be used by the crafting classes, like Carpenter, in order to make a wide variety of items. In the case of Carpenter, it's often furniture, but you can get other stuff too. Furniture is used to decorate your house, and you can even buy different houses in different cities to change your fast travel options, or just match the aesthetic you're looking for. You start off in a pretty typical fantasy castle town, but there's a handful of other major cities you'll visit throughout the story, all similarly fleshed out and realized with tons of denizens in need of your help. I personally really like the Marina Port Town. It gives me Santorini vibes. The sheer amount of things to do in this game will keep you busy for a long time. I actually 100%ed it after playing for a few hundred hours, but I didn't have my copy anymore since I sold it after I did everything. In an effort to keep things moving quickly for the channel, I skipped a lot of the introductory quests for obtaining some extra lives, but take my word for it that they're all fun and worth doing. The game is oozing with charm, not only in the characters you interact with, but the world design and music. The legendary Nobuo Uematsu did it again with the Fantasy Life soundtrack, but this time he didn't have to worry about being particularly serious, so he got to add kazoo to his composing repertoire. Join me tomorrow as I talk about the 239th game on my list, where my supposed friends will beat me up and take all my money.